Today I'm in Costa Mesa, California, looking at this incredibly rare, very special 1951 Porsche. Very rare car, very unusual. You rarely ever see them, and we're going to share it with you today in the garage. Wow, just look at this. This car is magnificent. 1951 Porsche, very rare. So excited. When I first saw this car, I almost fell over. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. You just don't see these early Porsches like this. Distinguishing characteristic of this early one, this is the 1951 model, is the split window design here. This is before they used the one-piece glass. This is the last year they used the split window. Porsche started making cars in about 48, 49. They started making a handful. By 50, they started manufacturing a little bit more. By 51, they started getting their rhythm a little bit, but still a handcrafted car with the split windshield. In 52, they used what they call a bent windshield, which is the same basic shape but has a little kink in it here as opposed to two pieces of glass. Also, this is the last year of these very tight, form-fitting bumpers. The bumpers fit very tight to the body, which is really cool. It even makes it look more like it's hovering off the ground, like a little spacecraft. I can imagine what people thought when they saw this going down the road. Nothing looks even remotely like one of these cars. It just has a small little air-cooled engine, just 44 horsepower, but it weighs just over 1,700 pounds, so the power-to-rate ratio is pretty good. But this particular car is restored to such a perfect standard. It's an award winner, and it shows. Every nook and cranny is just perfect. There's nothing on this car that isn't absolutely correct and perfect. I really love the color on this car, this light blue. It's a very soft blue metallic, which lends itself wonderfully to these rounded lines. I think it wouldn't look as good in a solid color as this beautiful metallic. And it is absolutely correct. During the restoration, they found some blue paint underneath the back seat and matched it to it, so they got an exact match on the paint color. It's just very soft and smooth. I love the way this thing looks. Listen to that thud. Even though it's a small car, it's built like a tank. And it had to be built like a tank because this car led a little bit of a hard life. It was sold new in Germany, European delivery car, found its way to the United States. Then it landed up in front of a parts place, like a wrecking yard. And it had the wrong front end on it at the time it was found in the early 60s, 1961 is when it was found. As far as we can trace back to, it had a front end off a later model 356A. And subsequently, during the restoration, they restored it back to this original headlight and bumper configuration that it's supposed to have. Someone bought it in 1964 and drove the car every day. School teacher from Santa Cruz, so he went back and forth to work with this car. At some point along the way, it got painted red and got different wheels on it, probably a different motor. Guy drove it around for a long time, then eventually got bored with it, I guess, put it in the garage. He was going to move into a retirement area, and somebody wanted to buy the engine out of the car. And for unexplained reasons, we don't know why, he sold the engine out of the car and then took the car with him to his retirement house and thought one of these days he's going to restore it. I don't know if the engine was wrong to begin with. It was a hot rod motor. We don't know. Really strange, and could never really figure out why they sold the motor. Then in 2015, somebody bought it and treated it to this incredible restoration, a full rotisserie restoration. Everything about the car is correct now, and it's won multiple shows. This 1951 model is considered a pre-A as opposed to a 356A, which was introduced in 1955. Of course, when they were new, they weren't considered pre-A, but the collector community prefers to call them pre-A to differentiate between the two. The pre-A cars also have a completely different dash than the 356A cars, and subsequently D and Cs. But the basic shape of the car took place in the late 40s, and as you can see, it still actually, to this day, has a similar shape. You can see the heritage right through the present day. It's amazing that a car has a 70 80-year-old design and still thrives to this day. It's a tribute to the engineering and the design of this car. So that's it for our look at this very special 1951 Porsche Pre-A. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time in the garage.